Something bit might be hiding behind the scenes of the Iraqi dinar conversation. Something that could quietly explain why major banks seem to favor the 25 zalazan note. As investors debate when the long-anticipated exchange event might happen, a deeper question is emerging. What if the real difference isn't about the value of the notes, but about the way banks process them? Today, in this special report, we're breaking down the possible operational reason that major U.S. financial institutions could lean toward larger denominations, and how that might affect everyday currency holders waiting for their exchange opportunity. Stay tuned till the end because what we're uncovering could completely change how you prepare for redemption. Across the dinar community, discussions about smaller versus larger denominations have been ongoing for years. Many holders assume that since 25 of the 1,000 dinar notes equal 125 zalazan note, there shouldn't be a difference. Mathematically, that's absolutely true. But when you look inside the operational systems of banks, from teller counters to verification machines, the story changes dramatically. Banks don't just deal with numbers on paper. They deal with physical logistics, machine processing time, employee workload, and compliance requirements. Every single note that enters a bank must be counted, scanned, verified for authenticity, and recorded under strict federal rules. That process, multiplied across millions of notes, creates a real-world challenge that has nothing to do with math and everything to do with time. When financial institutions like Chase, Wells Fargo, Citibank, and HSBC prepare for high-volume currency operations, their number one focus is efficiency. They design every step of the process to minimize errors, reduce staff stress, and move customers through the system quickly. Now, imagine two different customers arriving at a redemption center. The first has 1,000 notes of 1,000 dinars each. The second has just 40 notes of 25,000 dinars each. Both hold the same total value. But the first customer's stack is physically much larger. Every one of those smaller notes must be counted, verified, and recorded separately. That means more time, more human involvement, and more potential for machine jams or counting errors. The difference in workflow is huge, and that's where the bank's quiet preference begins to take shape. It's not that banks will reject smaller notes. They legally can't if the notes are authentic and approved by the Central Bank of Iraq and authorized by the U.S. Treasury. The issue is purely logistical. High-volume counting machines can process large notes faster, reducing transaction time and easing operational pressure. For tellers and compliance teams, this efficiency translates into fewer customer backlogs and faster verification cycles. During a potential redemption event, where hundreds or even thousands of investors could arrive daily, time management becomes critical. Large denominations, like the 25,000 note, dramatically reduce physical handling. In a banking world driven by speed, security, and accuracy, that difference could mean the ability to process twice as many customers per hour. Many within the IQ community speculate that this practical advantage could subtly shape how banks organize redemption appointments. Even without any official policy stating a preference, the internal structure of these operations could naturally favor those holding higher denominations. It's not about discrimination. It's about simplicity. The fewer the notes, the easier it is for the bank systems to process, verify, and store them. That efficiency cascades through every part of the process, from counting to record keeping to liquidity management. A large note is simply more convenient for a system designed to handle billions in transactions per day. Operational experts point out that every physical currency exchange creates an electronic footprint. Each note must be logged with serial data, authenticity checks, and compliance verification. This data then moves through internal networks to ensure that all transactions meet federal anti-money laundering standards. Smaller notes create exponentially more data entries, which means more computing time, more scanning, and more oversight. When redemption events scale up to national levels, that difference can become massive. In a sense, large denominations are like express lanes on a digital highway. They allow banks to move value faster with less friction. That's not favoritism, it's efficiency engineering. The discussion of denomination preference also ties into liquidity management. For major institutions, large deposits and redemptions affect balance sheets in real time. Handling larger notes reduces the amount of physical counting and speeds up reconciliation, the process where banks verify every cent leaving or entering their accounts. For liquidity managers working behind the scenes, fewer notes mean cleaner records and faster fund transfers. This is especially true in a scenario where international compliance, such as verification with the U.S. Treasury, must happen for each batch. The 25,000 note aligns closely with international banking standards for high-value foreign transactions, making it smoother to process on both domestic and international levels. It's also worth noting that large-scale redemption events are not everyday banking operations. They require months of preparation, internal training, and technology testing. Insiders suggest that some banks may already be running system simulations to ensure their machines and compliance systems can handle various Iraqi dinar denominations. If that's true, it signals a strong effort toward readiness. And in those simulations, larger notes likely perform more efficiently simply because they're fewer in number. This means that when the time comes, banks could naturally route high-value transactions like those using 20,000 notes through faster verification channels. Now, let's address one of the most common myths, that smaller denominations might somehow be less accepted. That is not accurate. The value equivalence is protected by basic exchange law. As long as each note is verified and approved, the denomination does not change its worth. What does change is the process. A teller can complete one high-value transaction with 25,000 notes much faster than dozens of smaller ones. That could translate into faster appointments and possibly shorter waiting times. So while all notes are equal in value, they are not equal in processing complexity, and that's the real-world reason banks could quietly prefer larger bills. In banking terms, this debate represents the difference between arithmetic equality and operational practicality. Two people may hold the same amount of currency, but the way that value is presented to the system can affect how quickly it moves through it. For instance, high-speed scanning equipment is often optimized for larger, high-value bills. The smaller the note, the higher the chance that machines need recalibration or human assistance. Every small slowdown adds up when multiplied across hundreds of customers. From an operations standpoint, banks must think in terms of scale. And scale always favors what's faster, safer, and easier to process. What's fascinating is that this logistical preference might also tie into how banks plan structured redemption programs. Some investors have heard terms like screen rate and contract rate, referring to different categories of exchanges. While these ideas remain unconfirmed publicly, it's reasonable to assume that banks could design different internal processes for different client tiers. In those systems, larger denominations may align more easily with streamlined categories that prioritize high-value, low-volume transactions. Again, this doesn't mean a better rate. It simply means a smoother process. But for investors, that smoother process could feel like a more premium experience. Now let's step back and look at this from a broader, international angle. The Iraqi central bank's policies, as published in official communications, directly influence how foreign institutions prepare for redemption. However, once the currency reaches U.S. soil, it must pass through U.S. Treasury authorization before any redemption occurs. This two-step system, from Iraq's approval to the U.S. Treasury's clearance, creates a structured path that banks must follow. In such a tightly controlled environment, efficiency becomes not just a preference, but a necessity. Larger notes help streamline that entire two-step verification chain, ensuring smoother data tracking between both nations' financial systems. Behind every major exchange event lies a simple truth: banks are built to reduce friction. Whether processing euros, pounds, or dinars, their systems are designed to minimize physical handling and maximize digital flow. From that perspective, the 25 note fits perfectly into a system optimized for high-value currency movement. It's compact, easy to verify, and efficient to log. Smaller notes, Though equally valid, multiply the handling time and documentation workload. For bank executives planning massive redemption operations, these logistical differences carry real weight. They could directly affect staffing, machine usage, and even how appointment schedules are organized. Interestingly, not all institutions may follow the same approach. Some reports indicate that certain banks might adopt a denomination-neutral policy, meaning all notes would be treated equally in processing order. If that becomes standard, it could balance the field for all holders. However, other banks could lean toward a model that quietly prioritizes efficiency, meaning larger notes might move faster through verification. The reality might end up being a blend of both. Either way, preparation is the key for investors. Organizing notes neatly, keeping them undamaged, and presenting them in well-labeled bundles could significantly improve processing time, regardless of denomination. Another important aspect is documentation. Every dinar holder should maintain clear records of where and when the currency was purchased, ideally from a licensed dealer. During redemption, this paperwork serves as proof of legitimacy and can speed up verification. Banks are obligated to confirm both the authenticity of the notes and the legality of ownership. Having your receipts ID and any appointment confirmations ready in advance shows professionalism and readiness. In high-pressure environments like large-scale redemptions, even small details like this can make a huge difference in how smoothly your transaction goes. So, what should investors take away from all this? The main message is that banks are driven by systems, not speculation. Their goal is to process as many verified transactions as quickly and safely as possible. Larger denominations simply make that job easier. That doesn't mean smaller notes won't be redeemed. They will. It only means the process may take more time. By understanding this reality now, investors can prepare intelligently rather than emotionally. The real advantage lies in readiness, organization, and calm execution when the time arrives. In the months ahead, staying informed will be crucial. Keep an eye on official updates from the Central Bank of Iraq, the U.S. Treasury, and credible banking institutions. If and when redemption procedures are announced, those who already understand the operational landscape, like what we've discussed today, will be far better prepared to act quickly and confidently. Remember, this isn't just about holding currency, it's about understanding the system that moves it. Knowledge, organization, and preparation remain the strongest tools any investor can have. In conclusion, the discussion around denomination preference isn't about favoritism or hidden policies. It's about the physical and digital realities of modern banking. The 25,000 note fits more comfortably within those realities, offering speed, simplicity, and efficiency in a process expected to handle enormous volume. But regardless of denomination, all authentic, approved notes will ultimately have their place in the redemption process. The smartest approach is to stay calm, stay organized, and stay informed. This has been your in-depth IQD exchange breakdown for October 2025, exploring the real reasons banks might prefer the 25,000 note. Until next time, stay ready, stay confident, and keep watching for new updates right here on Iraqi Dinar News.